Peace, y'all. This is Ahshay. Welcome to Asè'Underground. And we are getting into this Mercury energy in the tarot. But we're not just getting into the Mercury energy in the tarot. We're going to talk about Mercury in certain astrological signs, what to do if your Mercury is debilitated, how to improve your karma in Mercury. And your girl actually has a debilitated Mercury. So if your Mercury is debilitated like mine, have no fear. Albert Einstein had a debilitated Mercury. So it's not the end of the world. There's just, things we can do to improve it, things we can do to work with it. And this video is going to help us align with those energies, okay, by tapping into more of the Vedic astrology, all right, and seeing these energies also through the cards, all right. So for those of you who do not know, Mercury represents communication, right? Mercury is the messenger, the god of the messages, okay? And the thing about Mercury is that there's like 3 steps to really get your Mercury in alignment. So one is study and knowledge, right? Gathering knowledge and studying, making sure that your foundation is secure in what you know. The second is actually walking the talk, right? So embodying that study. So say I tell people, oh, you should meditate, but I never meditated. That would be hypocrisy, right? That would not be good. And my Mercury would become like debilitated, right? So you'll see, and I talk about it in some of the videos before this, where I might say like, oh, my Mercury is debilitated, or I might trip over my words and stuff like that, because this part of the video, this part of the series is just gathering knowledge. It's not actual wisdom, right? I have not actually meditated with the planets. I have not sat in front of the yantra and meditated. I have not done the mantra 108 times. I have sat and listened to the mantras, right? But the wisdom is not fully activated in these videos, okay? So you're going to hear me using notes. You're going to hear me trip over my speech, because right now it is just the process of gathering knowledge. Then the third part of really acquiring a really good Mercury is sharing that knowledge, right? So you acquire the knowledge, embody the knowledge, share the knowledge, and you have to be in alignment with that shared message. Everyone has their own unique soul's message, and you can find your soul's message by knowing what sign your Mercury is in, what house your Mercury is in. And I might say this wrong, y'all, because I'm definitely more tropical astrology, right? What nakshatra your Mercury is in, okay? What position your Mercury is in. All these things are going to help you know what your soul message is. And that is the message that you are supposed to give to the world. And it helps you be in alignment with that message. Kind of like Albert Einstein with E equals MC squared. That's the message he gave to the world, right? Maybe Michael Jackson's was heal the world. I don't know, okay? And you may want to go to a professional Vedic astrologer to help you find your soul's message and be in alignment with that, if that's something that you're interested in doing. You can also look at your natal chart and try to put the pieces together, okay? So yeah, these are just some really cool things about Mercury. Each planet has its own gifts and its own magic, right? So this is really the magic of Mercury. So let me get into the tarot. So let's start with the Magician card. Okay. The Magician card is ruled by Gemini, right? We know that Mercury works with Gemini and Virgo. Gemini, what's beautiful about Gemini is that it is a diverse range of intellect, a diverse range of knowledge. My sister's a Gemini, right? She has a 4.8 GPA in high school. But she would do her homework in front of the television. It was I could never do that. I don't care to do that. I don't want to do that. So she would like watch Grey's Anatomy, do all her homework, right? She's in marching band, she's doing track, cross country, basketball, okay? And actually really good on the team. Like she was so good in so many things, right? And to come on top with a 4.8 GPA on top of that, crazy, crazy, crazy work, right? So that's like the smarts of Gemini. And I don't know if her Mercury's in Gemini. I looked at her chart maybe back in like 2017. I think it was. Dang. It probably was. But, maybe not. The only thing about Gemini, if your Mercury is in Gemini, is that you might, the trade-off is that and you're diverse in a lot of different things, but maybe perhaps you might have to trade off diversifying that knowledge to be a master in one thing. But maybe not necessarily. There's so many different things in the chart. So it's something to think about. It's something to talk about with your astrologer. It's something to look into if it's something that you want to master at. So you might not be number one at something. Like she wasn't even valedictorian, right? Her class was very, very smart. So even with the 4.8 GPA, she wasn't valedictorian. But so say you're not the number one spot, but you're the top 10 in a lot of different areas, okay? And I'm getting that information from, probably going to say his name wrong, Kasanati. Okay, check his video down below. He goes into detail. You're going to hear the exact same thing that I'm saying right now. He goes into detail about Mercury and the different astrological placements and the karma of Mercury. Now with the Magician card, the Magician, right? That's having knowledge of earth, air, wind, fire, and ether. Okay? So when when the Magician card comes up, this is somebody who is very knowledgeable of every aspect of magic, every aspect of what they do. They are a master at what they do. They have knowledge in a lot of different things. They're able to combine it together, okay? And they probably can even do it even more with the infinity sign over her head. If you see that infinity sign over her head, okay? So yeah. All right. Let's get into the other Gemini sign, which is the Lover's card, another major arcana card. You have the masculine and the feminine represented here with the spiritual aspect, the angel above them. The Lovers, it's not Two of Cups, right? That's a romantic connection. But the Lovers could be, your best friend. Could be a parent, could be a sibling, could be a mentor, right? It is not necessarily romantic. It could also represent romance, but not necessarily, okay? And if it represents something within you, then it is the balance of the feminine and masculine energy within you. And that angel is blessing the union or blessing your balance. I just heard androgynous, okay? So yeah, that's another aspect of that Gemini energy getting played out, okay? This diversification, right? And this respect for the diversity. Now, this Virgo card here, the Hermit card. So the Hermit, if you didn't know, the Hermit, I'm going Hermit right now, some people could say, right? You could say I went Hermit from pick a card readings to go deeper into study. You could say I went Hermit from Instagram. Usually I'm in a more of a Gemini, Aquarius energy with Instagram. I'm usually a social butterfly on there. But I'm more in my Hermit energy right now, right? What the Virgo is going to do is see every detail. And the Virgo is going to say, hey, okay, there's a flaw here. This is pretty good there. This is neutral here. Okay, I need to take the flaws out. They're going to purify the information, purify the project, the whatever it is, right? So you could say that's kind of what I'm doing right now here. I'm literally picking apart each planet in the cards and I'm going into like a deep study. I'm taking time away from my usual activities, right? And we are picking things apart, looking at the different energy signatures and really getting an idea of what is what. So that's like that Hermit energy. You could do that with anything, right? So there's just different times in our lives where we go into like a deep study, and we really tap into that Virgo energy, right? The only thing, the shadow with Mercury and Virgo, if your Mercury is in Virgo, is perfectionism, okay? So, right, you don't want to overdo it with the perfectionism. There is a time when things still have to be, we want things to be as good as possible, but not to a space where we're inactive, right? Because nothing's perfect. And that's the beauty of this life, is that it's not perfect. It's perfectly imperfect. So there comes a time where we do have to come to terms with that, all right? If your Mercury is in Virgo. So let's go into 3 of Cups, 3 of Wands. Let's look at these two energies here. Okay, I'm going to pull out my notes for these, all right? 3 of Cups, 3 of Wands. 3 of Cups is a very like social energy. 3 of Wands is like your ships coming in, right? So, I put the tarot cards in the back here. Oh yeah, so 3 of Wands is Cancer and Mercury. Okay. And why do I have 3 of Cups here? Oh, 3 of Cups isn't supposed to be here. My bad, y'all. It's just supposed to be 3 of Wands. See? Mercury mishap. All right. So, 3 of Wands, Cancer. So, Cancer and Mercury. There we go. So, okay. As I talked about in the moon video, the moon is friends with everyone, right? So, yes, but Mercury isn't necessarily friends with the moon. Okay, it's like that mother-child vibe, right? But they can still make things work. And the moon represents the emotions while Mercury represents the intellect. So, if your Mercury is in Cancer, this is going to be, and that's why I could have swore it was 3 of Cups. Why would it be 3 of Wands? That's so strange to me. I want to like recheck that for some reason. I definitely see why I thought it was 3 of Cups. Because Mercury is the emotions. I mean, Mercury is the intellect and Cancer is the emotions. And these are people who like, you can read a book of what they write and it makes you cry. Or you could watch a movie and it brings out a lot of joy and a lot of laughter. They know how to bring out emotions when they speak. That is their gift, okay? Sometimes the bad, like not the bad side, but the shadow aspect of somebody with a Mercury and Cancer is your emotions get you so choked up that you're not able to speak. I've had that happen to me too. Okay, like my Mercury is in Pisces, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes my emotions get so like, and I can't say anything. Like I just can't. Because the emotions just get so high, right? But give me a second, guys, and let me recheck this and make sure that this 3 of Cups and this 3 of Wands is straight. Oh my gosh, yes, y'all, 3 of Cups is Cancer. Okay, I don't know. And see, that's that trickster energy. Mercury is definitely trickster energy as well. And this is why, you know what I mean? You got to measure twice, measure 3 times, cut once. Okay? Because I was like, that doesn't sound right. I definitely wrote Wands here, but it's Cups. So I'm keeping all of that in the video to just kind of show you guys more of the energy of Mercury, the shadow aspect, the trickster energy. Yeah. And just how it can like, why it's so important for us to take it seriously, you know, our karma with Mercury. Okay, so we talked about like the emotions and someone being able to pull emotions out in their writing, in their music, in their art, in their movies, in their film, talking to a friend. Okay, 3 of Cups, Mercury in Cancer. Now, 8 of Wands. Eight of Wands is Mercury in Sagittarius. So Sagittarius rules Jupiter. Okay. Jupiter in Sagittarius, if you haven't looked at the Jupiter video yet, it's a highly moral and ethical energy, right? So this is you being in alignment, because Eight of Wands is boom, you're on the road, you're going towards your goal, nothing can stop you, right? You're traveling. Ninth house energy. I didn't even think about that before, but it's definitely traveling to the next state, overseas. But again, it's just nothing can stop you, because you're very, very in alignment with your ethics, your morals, your principles. You could think of it that way, with Mercury being in that Jupiter energy, right? So I like Mercury in Sagittarius. But let's look at our notes here, y'all, and make sure Mercury in Saturn, Mercury in Gemini, Mercury in Venus, Mercury in Virgo. And I have Sagittarius right here. Powerful and passionate speech. Okay. You're a messenger of ethics, morals, and truth. What you say is very meaningful. Okay. You have the intellect with the brute force. But you are about winning the war and not the battle. Okay. Vigilant justice. Okay, taking vigilante justice, which is taking the law into your own hands. All right, the shadow is holding your tongue, being aggressive. Your battles must be chosen wisely, and you always speak your mind. Okay, maybe in times, you definitely have to, again, pick your battles, right? But that's that Eight of Wands energy, okay? So just think somebody being in alignment with their truth, their justice, their meaning, and they're going towards it. Or someone going towards their ninth house. They are traveling. They are going out of their comfort zone, and it is very auspicious for them to do so. It's very good for them to do so, okay? So I like that energy. Everybody, I think people like Eight of Wands, honestly. Six of Swords. You are looking at, Aquarius and Mercury. So Six of Swords is usually like, you had a breakup and you're moving on, on to the next. That's what I think is like you are mentally moving past it, right? Three of Swords would be the heartbreak. Six of Swords is, okay, next. You know what I'm saying? So I really like this energy. Now, Aquarius is very quirky, technology, intellectual, does their own thing, an individual. So this could be somebody getting more into innovation, moving on to a new app. Maybe they're on social media. Okay, if I was to go more into like a Mercury and Aquarius energy and less into, I guess, the meaning of the tarot card, right? I would think of somebody just like doing their own thing. They want to wear their hair pink and they don't care what anybody says. They want to have piercings on their face and they don't care what anybody says. You know what I'm saying? They really don't care. They are just doing them in their own energy and enjoying life. Row, row, row your boat. Okay? Now, Five of Pentacles. Now, this is Mercury and Taurus. I was surprised. I was like, why is this Mercury in Taurus? Mercury in Taurus is very auspicious. It's great if your Mercury is in Taurus, right? You could be really good with finances, economics, art, the pleasures of life, okay? You could have a really good intelligence on savings and things of that. But then I thought about it, and I thought about the shadow of Mercury in Taurus. When Five of Pentacles is in reverse, it suggests that you are out of touch with spirituality. You are out of touch with God. You are out of touch with Creator, Creatress, divinity, right? And the shadow of somebody with a Mercury in Taurus is that they are way too invested into the material realm. They're so invested into the material realm that they don't have time for the spiritual, okay? They are not spiritually wealthy. Okay, so I was like, wow, I definitely can relate the shadow aspect more to a Five of Pentacles in reverse. So You see Five of Pentacles because they're outside of a church, right? In the original Rider-Waite deck. So Mercury and Taurus, you are more rooted into the material. Maybe so much so that you don't even have what you need materially. And this is something that they talk about when it comes to like manifestation and putting things up on a pedestal and caring too much. And like if you read books on the ego, like what's that book? Dang, by Eckhart Tolle. I forgot the book's name. But if you read books like that where it talks about your ego, in college when I read that book, I was like, oh, care is ego. When you care too much about something, your ego is in it. It could be really tough to understand that. A lot of people will fight for the ego, and which is fine because that's your sun, that's your confidence. I get that part. But there's other parts of the ego that they talk about in spirituality that people aren't always in touch with. And when you put too much care on it, it can cause a deficit, right? So just to make this more simple, if you all, I don't know if everybody knows what I'm talking about with my Mercury deficit in Pisces. But you know, and that can cause me to be a little too into the spiritual and less into the logic, right? So logic, someone with a lot of logic might not understand what I'm saying, but yeah, your Five of Pentacles with the Mercury and Taurus, it's just a huge emphasis on the material realm, so much of an emphasis to where there's a lack. Okay, now 10 of Pentacles, this is Virgo energy. And I thought about it, I was like, yeah, this is somebody who knows how to budget, who knows which investments to make. You're so detail oriented that it has created legacy for you, right? 10 of Pentacles. This is somebody that can pass things down to their children's children, right? So we love the 10 of Pentacles. We love that Mercury and Virgo energy, just like the Hermit. Mercury and Virgo is just so auspicious. Now, Queen of Swords, right? She's a Mercury and Virgo Libra cusp. So she has that Venus energy, right? Which we'll get into in the next video. Venus and Tarot. Okay, subscribe if you want to get into that energy. But she also has that Virgo energy. So again, she can look at the details. She can see the flaws in something. She is going to vet things out, right? So yeah, be careful with the Queen of Swords. She's not someone you could just get over on. And Page of Swords, definitely a Gemini energy, okay? Just somebody who's nosy, all up in your business, or a really good researcher, okay? Maybe someone who is in the beginning stages of detective work, okay? Because I kind of think of detective as a little more Hermit energy, but maybe they're in the beginning stages of it, or maybe they're not like a full-on detective, but they're doing some type of research, right, for a paper or something like that. It doesn't always have to be bad and malicious, right? But definitely when we get this card, we think of like somebody spying, right? And that Gemini energy is definitely, you know, they're definitely about that life, some of these Geminis. So spying, gathering information, all that. Now let's talk about the messenger cards here. All right. I'm gonna pull my notebook out on these because I thought these were pretty cool. Knight of Pentacles is that Virgo energy, taking your time, building the foundation, detail by detail. I think about like Will Smith, where his father was telling him brick by brick, right? And I'm actually surprised that this isn't Mercury in Capricorn, because if your Mercury is in Capricorn, then, you know, it's going to be slower for you to get the information. You could start off in your early years with a speech impediment or what people think is like a learning disability, but actually you're highly, highly, highly intelligent, right? And the information is going to stick more than other people. So I'm actually surprised that this isn't more Mercury in Capricorn. I get the Mercury and Virgo energy with it, right? And that's fine. But definitely like my Mercury and Capricorns, like shout out to y'all because you guys are slow with the information, But because you're slow with the information, you could be the top person, right, at the end of the day, who's able to carry that message forward. And really, whatever type of message it is, whatever it is that you're able to do, right? Now, Knight of Swords, these are absolutely different energy signatures altogether, right? Knight of Swords is Gemini. Now, Gemini's fast, quick. Okay, this is what you gotta think about with Gemini too, right? Third house. Like when I was a waitress and I was getting tips, that's that Gemini energy, right? That money is fast and it's coming in my hand. While a Capricorn energy is more of that business energy. The money's coming in slow because I'm setting everything up. I'm setting every brick up. Okay, making sure that there's like foundation on foundation on foundation for it to last lifetimes. While with that Gemini money, it's coming quick out of my hand, right? So, Knight of Swords, quick. Knight of Pentacles. Knight of Pentacles, you're going more towards the Ten of Pentacles. Knight of Swords, there's a message coming to you fast. There's information coming to you fast, okay? Or somebody's doing something too hasty. They could be in their shadow and they need to slow things down, all right? They could be in their shadow with this Knight of Pentacles. Say the Knight of Pentacles was in reverse. Maybe there's a perfectionist energy going on there, okay? So I'm gonna bring the Hermit and the Magician energy back up to the forefront here. And we're going to talk about how to improve your Mercury karma. So, of course, you could wear green. You could pray. Or I wouldn't say pray. I would say doing your mantra, like your meditation, to a Mercury, a well-designed Mercury yantra. Okay? Look in the video below on improving your Mercury karma to get more information on that. Of course, you want to do it on the day of Wednesday. Mercury rules the day of Wednesday. If your Mercury is debilitated like mine is, then you can do it any day. If you are a Virgo or a Gemini, you could do it any day, right? And it will be good to balance out your Mercury energy. You can actually wear an emerald on your pinky finger, y'all. Okay, so my Mercury is debilitated, so I will wear it on the left hand. If your Mercury is, in a good position, like Gemini or Virgo, you will wear it on the right hand, okay? Let's see what else. Join a club, an intellectual club, okay? If you're in a class, if you are teaching, if you give a service, okay? As a merchant, really good for your Mercury. But what's even better for your Mercury is if you give a service for free, and that is an offering to God. When you do that, I'm probably gonna say the word wrong, y'all. The word is I have it on the other page, I think. When you give service to God, it's sawa. I think it's sawa. Humanitarian service, okay? So when you give a free service to people, and especially when it's in alignment, like we talked about earlier, with your soul's message, okay, then it's a good, I'm gonna mess it up again, soa or sawa, okay? And that's gonna improve your Mercury as well. Anytime that you take some time to go into Hermit energy and perfect something, go over the details and purify your work, purify, I don't know, it doesn't matter if it's a car, if it's a musical piece, if you are editing a paper, right? That's good for your Mercury, okay? Anytime you take an opportunity to go to a speaking engagement, and when you take opportunities to speak and to speak in your truth and your alignment, that is also good for your Mercury, okay? Being humorous, okay, comedy is Mercury. So anytime you try to expand your humor, it's really good for your Mercury. You can't go wrong with that. All right. And that's really, really fun. If you do a chess club, listen to classical music, reading club, learning club, and you put it together where you're with other intellectual minds, okay? You don't want to be the smartest in the room. When you go into rooms and you're not the smartest, it's really good for your Mercury. You have to be careful. It can be really bad for your Mercury to be around people that are intellectually not on your level, Okay, it doesn't mean that you can't be friends with people who are not intellectually on your level, but you need some type of club or something. You need something where people have a higher knowledge than you. Something, anything, okay, to improve your Mercury, right? Giving green clothes to the needy, giving green herbs to your teacher, Brahmi, Tulsi, to a teacher is also good for your Mercury, okay? Mercury works well with Saturn, but you can give green clothes to the needy, a friend, or a teacher. All right. Again, create opportunities to speak and to express yourself and to do public speaking. Okay, so I think I covered a lot here, right? Really quick, when it comes to like being Buddhist, right? And their goal is to get nirvana, and they go through nirvana through the Eightfold Path. And in order to do the Eightfold Path, you have to cease the fluctuations of the mind. So if you have high intelligence, right, it will do you well, of course, to meditate, learn how to cease the fluctuations of the mind, learn how to reset, right, so that your Mercury doesn't become imbalanced. Okay, so let me go through the Mercury signs really quick, and just make sure I touch on everybody's sign super quick here. Your Mercury is exalted in Mercury in Virgo. We talked a lot about Mercury in Virgo. Check. Mercury in Pisces. Okay. Now that's that Jupiter energy, right? Okay, here's the thing. If you have Mercury in Pisces like me, those of us with Mercury in Pisces, we have intuitive ADD, y'all. Attention deficit disorder, okay? Which means that we hyper focus, okay? We will hyper focus on something. You guys see me do it on the channel all the time. If you know me, you see me do it on Instagram. I will hyper focus on something, and I can, to the point where I can intellectually like make really big steps into something, or I can make really big steps, but I might move on to the next thing, and hyper focus on something else, or like it's something. When you have a Mercury in Pisces, the intellect lines up with your intuition and what your intuition wants to go towards at that time, right? The example that Casanati made was that people with Mercury in Pisces might not do as well in school. Now, I did really well in school, right? But I could not make progress musically because I was just focused on school, right? So I didn't have the Mercury to put as much energy into practicing trombone, practicing saxophone, right? Because I felt like I had to put all my energy into school, right? To make my parents happy, or because that's what was expected of me, and yada yada day. But it was very frustrating, right? It's very frustrating when you want to do music, but your academics are in the way, and you hyper focus on things. So yeah, so that could happen, and it might be different. Some Mercury and Pisces might not do well in school because their intuitiveness is going towards something else. So a lot of people wanted me to focus on certain things as an adult, and I said, I'm not listening to anybody else. We could be very rebellious because we need to follow our intuition with our intelligence, okay? So maybe you were rebellious more as a child. For me, it was a young adult. I was like, I'm not going to do this and that. Like, I'm following my intuitiveness. I'm following what it is that I want to do, what I feel is my soul's calling, and I'm going towards that. I did enough of what everybody else wanted me to do as a kid. I'm done. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's actually a gift, even though it's debilitated. I feel like that Jupiter gives you that hyper focus. You just have to be aware of it, right? And you have to balance out the logical with the intuition, right? Kind of like how Albert Einstein did. Okay. So it's a very, very unique expression of Mercury. Now, we talked a lot about Mercury in Gemini, check. Mercury in Venus. We talked about that Mercury in Taurus with the 5 of Pentacles. That Mercury in Libra is very creative, art, music. It can give you a sultry voice. You know, these people could be really nice to listen to, maybe great singers, okay? But there's a lack of linear expression, and sometimes you could be too much into your pleasures, and the pleasures could distract you from your intellect. So be careful of that with a Mercury in Libra. Okay, Mercury in Saturn, potential to take your time with what they say. We talked about that Mercury in Capricorn energy. Okay, these people could talk slow and steady, but they could come off really good, and they could be great politicians, okay, and have great success and prosperity in their careers with their intellect, right? But again, they may have that delay when they're younger and just grow out of it. All right. We talked about Mercury and Aquarius with the Six of Swords when it comes to being innovative and having that technology and being very unique and having good humor. These people could have very good humor, dry humor, witty. Mercury in Scorpio. Okay, now y'all know Mars is the general and Mercury's the student, right? So the general doesn't want to learn and the student doesn't want to fight. So you have to put your intellect into action. Mars is action, right? So those of you with a Mercury in Scorpio and a Mercury in Aries, you really, really, really have to walk the talk, okay? You really have to be about it. And that's what's going to make you guys feel in alignment, okay? And of course, Mercury in Scorpio is going to be that curiosity. You are definitely going to be into the mystical, spiritual, occult, Ayurvedic, medical knowledge, okay, with a Mercury in Scorpio. Mercury in Aries, you could be more of like a life coach, confidence, okay? Sometimes there's a little too much impulse, okay? Watch out for that. Try to pause and practice some of that moon energy with the pausing, all right? And before you speak, because, you know, you might just want to go out there with it. Mercury in Leo, very, very auspicious. Well, it says neutral dignity, but it also says that Leo gives you power and brilliance to your intelligence, right? And you can make other people feel like leaders from your speech. Like there's this fulfillment of power and soul fulfillment through your intelligence and communication and strength and power and inspiration. All right. Mercury in Cancer, we talked a little bit about that with the parent and moon relationship and how that gives you the emotions, right? With the Three of Cups. Go look back at the Three of Cups because I went in on that, the Three of Cups, right? And yeah, so I think we covered everybody there. I hope this gave you the life force rejuvenation and paradigm shift that you needed for your journey. I'm honored to be on this journey with you all. And I'll see you guys next time. And yeah, bye.